Hi, and welcome to How to Let Go of Judgments. Well, that also how to let go of judging other people, judging yourself. So, have you ever noticed that in your mind, you can have this sense often that you're right and other people are wrong? Or is that just me? Have you noticed that? That in your mind, you're kind of judging people. Oh, they shouldn't have done that, and I wouldn't have done that, and they did this wrong, and they did that wrong, and they, whatever it is. This kind of constant thing in your mind where we're judging or judging yourself. Okay. Now, what part of you is doing the judging? So, well, okay, well, it's me, it's my mind. But what I want you to notice is that it's this bit that we call the monkey mind. Now, we've been referring to it up until now as the monkey mind, but another way that we can talk about this thing called the monkey mind is the ego. Okay, now, you've got to be careful with the word ego because lots of people get offended when you start talking about the word ego because, they think it means that, they're big-headed or a show-off or something. I mean, it can refer to that. But all of us have an ego. I have an ego. Right now, I have an ego in here. And that's another way that we can think about and talk about the monkey, is calling it the ego. Now, what is the ego? The ego basically is the voice in our heads, the story of me. So if I say, oh, well, I'm this or I'm that, then we can have an ego built around that. And we can, when we start to notice this voice, we're noticing our ego. And our ego likes to be right, doesn't it? Our ego likes to make other people wrong. Our ego likes to think that we know best, that we're the only one that can do this and that they can't do that and that they're wrong or they shouldn't do this or there's something wrong with them or they're annoying because they're doing this or they make me angry because they're doing that. Have you noticed this? So this is starting to notice the ego in action, okay? And so what it tends to do is it wants to judge because it wants to feel better about itself, the ego. And recognize I'm talking about it like a third party. It, the ego, the monkey, wants to feel better about itself by putting somebody else down, by judging somebody else, okay? So I want you to start noticing this. And so again, if you feel that people are judging you, it's because their own monkey is wanting them to feel better about itself. And so it's doing a lot of judging, because who is it that does a lot of judging? People that don't feel good about themselves. People who feel secure and confident within themselves don't feel the need to judge. Okay, so if you notice that you're judging other people, fundamentally it's because you'll feel unhappy about yourself or insecure in some way or lacking confidence in some way. So we're judging somebody else because that makes us feel better about us. Okay, so the way that we start to master this is to notice that it's happening, because the same as other things in our life, if we're not aware that it's happening, how could we possibly change it? We're powerless to change something unless we can observe that it's happening in the first place. So the thing that I would like you to do is, over the coming hours and days and weeks, start to become more aware of your thought processes and notice when you're starting to judge. You might be standing in the queue at the supermarket or something and somebody in front's doing something and you go, oh, I can't believe that. Why are they doing that now? What's the point? No. And you start to do that and you're winding yourself up, okay, because you're judging them for being wrong or for being different. And that's something that we see sadly in the world a lot these days, that a lot of people are judging a lot of other people for being different, and therefore because they see them as different, they see them as bad or inferior or something else, okay? And it's all an incredibly destructive cycle and pattern. So this can all be changed by you starting to become aware of your own thought processes. Start to notice, oh yeah, I was really judging that person and I was thinking that I was right and I'm believing that I'm right, because again, one of the other things with the ego is that it believes it's right, okay? Now, here's the thing. I know that you think that you're right and you believe that you're right, because that's what the ego does. But see if you can be honest with yourself about this. Have you ever been in a situation where you're in the middle perhaps of a heated discussion or an argument with somebody about something, and you're kind of saying, yes, I'm right about this because whatever it is. And then halfway through, you realize that you're not right. Have you ever had that? And did you then go, oh, do you know what? You're absolutely right. I got this wrong. No, you didn't. You just carried on, even though you knew that you were in the wrong in some way, that you carried on because the ego had that momentum and it wasn't going to admit that it was wrong. The ego hates admitting that it was wrong. And also the ego hates being noticed. It won't like me talking about this because the ego doesn't like being noticed at work, okay? So again, it's not a bad thing, in and of itself. It's there to kind of protect you, but it also is if you like, the root of all of our suffering, because it's the one that determines how we think and feel about things. So when we are wanting to overcome judging other people, and that makes us feel bad, doesn't it? When we judge other people, we get frustrated or annoyed or stressed or anxious or depressed when we're judging other people or judging ourselves or judging life. What I want you to do is simply, again, to start just noticing that you're doing it. And every time you start noticing that you're judging, become aware that you're judging and thinking, oh yeah, well, who am I saying that they're wrong about that? It's just my opinion. Because this is one of the big challenges in life, is people all day, every day, confuse their opinion for fact. If I think something, therefore I must be right. But it isn't. There'll be people switching this off all over the place right now because they don't want to hear it. But that's the reality, okay? You've just got to start noticing that you're judging people. And if you can, just let that judgment go, bring your attention back to the present moment, and just keep letting it go. And if you can, start to even laugh at yourself when you notice that you're judging, and this is just the ego doing that because it wants to be more right than everybody else. Just notice that you're doing it and avoid this compulsion to spit it out and tell somebody you think they're wrong, and just go, oh, do you know what? I'm not even going to bother. Not going to say anything. I'm just going to let it go. I'm going to come back to the present moment and recognize that this judgment is just my opinion, and my opinion is no more valid than anybody else's opinion, because it's just my opinion. It isn't real. It isn't fact. Okay. So this will take a bit of time. It'll take a bit of practice. Again, there are resources in the Inner Balance coaching system that you can use to help you on this process. So enjoy that. And please, whatever you do, don't judge me for what I've just said.